Hello, hello, sweet friend. I'm delighted to have you here today with me because together we are going to learn from the amazing Megan Ruth Stoddard. Megan specializes in human design. So sit back, relax, and enjoy learning from the amazing Megan Ruth Stoddard, expert in human design.
So we're on day 3. It's the last day. Is that weird to anyone else that we're already on day 3? Because I feel like it's still Monday. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Can I ask a question about Jovian? When it says birth date UTC, what does that mean?
So it should automatically adjust that for you. So when you put in your birth location and everything, just put in what time it was appropriate to the
there.
Location, and then it should adjust it for the UTC. That's the universal time zone.
Okay, so I don't click birth is already in UTC.
Correct. It should be.
Okay.
Hard for me to see blind.
He's a projector.
Ah. Cool. Now you get to have that in your mind.
Dang it, I wasn't paying attention to your projector stuff.
That's okay, because you got the replay still. You can go back.
That's true.
Even better, have him go back and watch it. Hi, Kylie.
Huh.
Hello.
All right. Also, I just need to show you guys this now that we're all ready to go. But I got a Bluetooth keyboard, and look how pretty it is. Isn't that just so pretty?
Love it.
It's so fun to type on. Anyways, okay. She says, I think my brother is a projector, but my mom has to double check on his birth time. Yeah, I know. I want to do that with all of my siblings. I think I'm going to gather my family around the replays with their charts in front of them. Seriously, I think that's such a good idea. And you guys remember that these replays are only going to be available. I'm not sure exactly what day I'm going to take them down yet. I'm thinking maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, just to make sure you do have some time to go through it as many times as you want to before I take them down. Okay, I will text you the link, Melissa. I just got it off of Amazon and I super love it. So before we dive in deep, does anyone have any questions that have come up from days 1, day 2, when we went over the type, the strategy, the authority, all the things? I'm just going to grab something right here, but I can hear you. Unmute yourselves, type it in the chat. Oh yeah, let me pull it up on Facebook. Who's watching on Facebook? And if you don't have any questions, just tell me how you're feeling. How are you feeling today? Is all of it just kind of making sense? No questions, huh?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say, like, I had a, last night. Yesterday was a hard day. I'll just start there. Yesterday was a hard day, and then I was having a conversation with my husband, and we're just kind of, talking about my day and things, and he started giving me some, or just saying things and like some of his advice, which I feel like normally I would have taken personally. But I tried to change my perspective and say, no, this is him inviting me. Like, this is my invitation, since I'm a projector, and say him what he's saying is my invitation to make a change. And just that switch in mindset, it changed how I reacted and how I responded to that in such a positive way.
Oh my gosh. Did that feel so much better? That reduces so much resistance for you, right?
Yeah. Like I said, because like I said, I feel like normally my reaction to what he was saying to me would have been like that fight or flight, just taking it personally and just totally rejecting it. But I'm like, no, these are what he's saying are changes that I've known that I've needed to make. And now, like, now this is my invitation, and now I'm ready, and this feels right, and now I can make those changes.
Oh my gosh, I love that for you so much. I love that example too of what an invitation can look like for projectors. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. That makes me so warm for you. Okay, everyone on Facebook can see me, it sounds like. Alma says, I just got my exact birth date just now. Yay. Okay, Alma, let me know if that changes anything for you, because I'm so interested to hear if that changes much for you. How different is your birth time, your actual birth time, versus what that website pulled up for you? That's something else I would also love to know. Amtree, I've been more at peace with being the way that I am, and the synchronicities have been making me laugh because I'm seeing so many things to respond to, right? Once you're aware, once you know, then you get to see just how much life works in your favor. Life is not working against you. It's working for you. You just have to be aware of that and recognize how it's working for you, right? So good. That just, oh, you guys, that makes me so happy. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, as questions come up, ask me the questions, I will answer them. But I say, let's go ahead and get started. The energy centers. I love this so much. It was about a 3-hour difference. Okay, so that's not too bad. I mean, that can make a difference with your chart, just kind of depending, but that's closer than like a, 18-hour difference. So that's pretty good. So that helps us know that that website is pretty accurate. Not perfect by any means, but better than nothing. So you're going to want to have your chart handy for you today. You're definitely going to want to have your chart handy because we're going to be going over all of these. Okay, there's 9 centers. You can see all of those there, right? So these are, just like it says here, these are all the geometric shapes on your chart, and each center is a focal point that either will receive or generate energy, and then it transforms that energy as it moves through yourself. Okay. And each of these centers has a very specific function. It processes specific kinds of energies, and paying attention to them, being aware of them, and understanding what their functionality is can be a really, really helpful indicator as to, like it says here, the strength of your whole self-alignment or any potential misalignments. Also, I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder I'm having here, but it is stormy. All righty. So you will notice in your chart as well, so if you're looking at it, unless you are a reflector, you're going to see a mixture between centers that are colored in and centers that are white, right? Those are either defined or undefined / open, okay? And I'm just going to talk pretty briefly about that because we'll get more into it in each center. But when a center is colored in, that means that it's defined. It doesn't matter what the color is. Most websites use the same color for each center, but the color doesn't hold any significance. That's why I've made my own pretty little charts, because the color itself doesn't really matter. They just chose that because, I don't know, maybe that was the founder's favorite color. But if it's colored in, it's defined. And if it's defined, that means that that particular center has a reliable and a fixed way of experiencing and processing and transforming that kind of energy. Okay. And then also that means that you are the one generating that energy. That energy is coming from you in a very consistent and reliable manner. Okay. And then if you have a center that is white, that means it is either open or undefined. There is a difference between open and undefined. It's okay, cool. You can see me. Perfect. The difference between open and undefined, we don't need to go into that today. That's a really minute detail that makes sense when you get really, really deep into your chart. So for now, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably, just a heads up. I usually just call them open, but you will often hear them used interchangeably in the human design world. There is a little difference, but you don't need to worry about that today. So if you have a center that is white, then that means that you have unreliable access to that kind of energy, and yet basically limitless access to it. So when you do have access to it, you have more than enough. You have more than if it were defined, okay? So that's like thinking about our sacral beings versus anyone else, right? So those of us who have a sacral authority or sacral, to respond, we have regular, consistent, fixed access to that sacral energy, and it's consistent, it's reliable, we can always count on it, right? Whereas, so projectors or manifestors or reflectors who don't have that defined, you don't always have access to that energy, but when you do, you can take that to the next level, more so than generators, right? We've talked about that. So basically, whatever center it is that is white, you take in that kind of energy and you blow it up, you amplify it, you mirror it back out in a major way. So does that clarify the difference between your defined and your undefined centers? Okay, I'm not seeing questions, so I'm going to go ahead. And I can't see all of your faces all at once, just a heads up. So if you give me the thumbs up, I can't see most of you. I wish I could, but I don't have enough. This is why I need two screens. I need one screen so I can see all your faces and one screen for my slides. And then, so okay, cool. Glad that makes sense. So deconditioning. Conditioning and deconditioning is something that you'll hear often in the world of human design. And so deconditioning is just, okay, well, first let me tell you what conditioning is. Conditioning is what happens when pressures or expectations or influences from external sources in our lives are used by the mind to create subconscious programming that are misaligned to our design. Are the colors on the chart important versus the empty white? So you mean, so Heather, are you asking about like how one center is colored yellow, one center is colored brown? Is that what you're talking about? Linda, is there something that tells us which center is on the diagram? So that is where I really like using mybodygraph.com, because you can tap on it on the website and it will tell you. I will show you as we go through it. So I'm going to go through each center with you and show you. So you can, if you print it off or anything, then you can label it yourself, or just stick with me and I'll show you. I'll show you for sure. Heather, yes. Okay, so Heather, I mentioned this just a second ago. You might have been pulling up your husband's chart, but no, the colors themselves are very insignificant. The colors don't mean anything. So just if there's a color, that means it's defined. If it's white, that means it's open/undefined. So deconditioning, conditioning. So conditioning is basically like limiting beliefs, disempowering subconscious programming, you know, the stuff that we hear a lot. You've probably heard me talking about it a lot if you've been part of my world for any number of time. I've been talking about limiting beliefs, mindset, all of that stuff for years, right? So anything that is a mindset block or a limiting belief, hi Sheena, that is conditioning. Anything that is not in alignment to your design, that you're kind of just running on autopilot a little bit, that's conditioning. So therefore, deconditioning is the process of realigning to your inherent design. Makes sense, right? Pretty simple. And when you do this deconditioning, that just creates more space for you to live really aligned, right? To be aligned mentally and physically and spiritually, living totally aligned so that all your parts can work together cohesively as a single unit. And the deconditioning process can be done countless ways. This is what I do as a coach when I work with my clients' subconscious minds, right? Doing hypnotherapy, EFT, any neuro-linguistic programming techniques that I use. It can also be done during like journaling, meditating, affirmations, like those affirmations I shared with you on Monday. That can be a start to your deconditioning process. And then also paying attention to the not self themes in the centers, which we'll get into in a second, is a really, really helpful way of pointing to deconditioning that's available to be done. So does that make sense, that difference between conditioning and deconditioning and what that is? That's like a huge reason why I love human design, because it helps us see where exactly we might be holding ourselves back. Because I used to hear myself say that I know I'm holding myself back. I used to tell myself that all the time. I knew that I was in my own way in various aspects of life, but I didn't know how to get out of my way. I couldn't see where I was in my way. I couldn't see what the blocks were, right? Couldn't figure it out. This point is exactly where we need to go. All righty. So there are 9 centers. And they're so pretty. Okay, so here we go. I've got to move the chat around. This is confusing. Okay. We have 1 manifestation center, and that is the throat. So right here, come on, mouse, catch up with me. Can you guys see my mouse? Oh, there we go. Oops. There we go. Okay, this right there, that is the throat center. We have 2 pressure centers. We have the head up here and the root, which is down here. We have 3 awareness centers. We have the, so some people will call this Anya, Ajna, Anja. I've heard it pronounced 1,000 different ways. So I like to say Anya because it makes me think of Anastasia. We've got the Anya center right here. Yes, Melissa knows. That is an awareness center. We have the solar plexus right here and the spleen right here. And then we have 4 motor centers. And don't feel like you have to memorize any of this. Honestly, you don't even need to necessarily remember this, but I know that there are some people who love this kind of information. But the 4 motor centers are the heart, this cute little guy right here, the sacral, we know the sacral, right? The solar plexus and the root. And then we have 1 identity center, which is the G center. Are we thoroughly confused yet? Let's just get started with them. And again, if you have any questions come up, I'm sorry, you guys. Gotta move the chat around. Okay. As you have questions, pop them into the chat, pop them into the Facebook comments. So here we have the head center. So pay attention. I want you to drop in the comments your head center. Is it defined or is it open? Is it colored in or is it white? Because that's going to make a difference. Open. Open. Cool, cool, cool. Open. Okay. Mine is open as well. So this center is the center for, so it's a pressure center, right? And we know that we have 2 pressure centers, and those are what sort of pressure us to do something. Okay, open for me too. Cool. Laura's is white. Sheena's is open. Cool. Well, now I'm curious if anyone has it defined. I don't see as many that are defined. I didn't get the, oh wait, yes, I did. Only 30% of people have it defined. So most people will have this open. So this is a pressure center, and this is the center for inspiration, for questions, doubts, confusion. Mike's is defined. Yes, that's right. That's right. Which totally makes sense. So if you have it defined, because I don't know if anyone watching the replay will have it defined. So if you have this defined, that means you have consistent access to these things. Okay. Oh, geez. Okay. You have consistent access to inspiration. You have consistent access to your own questions, consistent access to your own doubts and confusion, which can play an important role in life. Okay. And so pretty cool that if you have it defined, you're your own source of inspiration. Basically, that's the main thing here, is that you are your own source of inspiration. And it's really important for you to process whatever questions you experience without trying to decide, right? We know that we do not make decisions with our head. We don't make decisions there. You can process through them and then let them trickle down through your body to whatever your strategy and your authority are. And that's where you make your decisions. So for those who have it open, the rest of us, it looks like I still don't see anyone that has it. Oh, I lost the chat. Come here, chat. There we go. Okay. So the good news is, while you don't have consistent access to inspiration, you also have limitless access to inspiration. So all of us who have this open head center, raise your hand or drop a yes in the comments if you've ever felt frustrated that you're just not feeling inspired to do something that you're trying to do. Yep, yes. So the good news is, currently for a project at work. Okay, so the good news is you can cut yourself a freaking break. You don't have to be inspired all the time. You're not going to be inspired all the time. So stop trying to force yourself to be inspired all the time. And then when you do get inspired, because it's a pressure center, you're probably going to feel pressure to act on every piece of inspiration you get. You don't have to do that. You receive the inspiration, and then you let it trickle through your body, let it go through your strategy and your authority, and then you decide if it's something that is correct for you. I'm just looking for something to respond to. Yes. So proud. Having that patience and that trust factor coming in. This is such a big thing with human design, is trust and patience. So now knowing that you have an open head center, start to bring in some trust and some patience, and knowing that when the timing is correct for you, you will have that inspiration that you need. And when you do, it's going to be big, because you take it in and you amplify it. You make it big, right? And then you can also struggle with some indecisiveness. There's also other parts of the chart that can make you feel a bit indecisive at times. This is one of them. So if you've ever struggled with feeling indecisive, between this one and the next center that we'll be talking about, it can make it a little bit challenging for you to make decisions. So just know that if you're not feeling inspired to think about something, give yourself a break. Give yourself a freaking break. Go buy yourself a Kit Kat if you need to. Okay. And then your not self theme. The not self themes mostly apply when it's an open center. There are some people out there in the human design world who will say that the not self themes are only for when you have an open center. But I do want you to know that if you have a defined center here and you do still find yourself resonating with this not self theme, it can still be an indicator for you. It's just not going to be quite as common. That's all. So for my open head centers, if you find yourself consistently thinking about things that just really don't matter, anxiety, anyone else, that means that you're living out of your self theme. It means you're living out of alignment with this particular center. And it means to just give yourself that break. Let yourself off the hook a little bit, and remember that when it is time for you to experience that inspiration, you will receive it. And then also knowing that, like, whatever questions, doubts, or confusions you're experiencing, first of all, it doesn't necessarily even mean it's your own. You might be taking on someone else's questions, someone else's doubts, someone else's confusion. I know that I have definitely experienced that. You know, I'll be feeling really good and solid about something, and then suddenly someone else will question it, whether vocally or just in their energy, and I'll pick up on it. And then I'm suddenly asking, oh, am I sure about this? Am I actually sure about this? Maybe I don't know. So letting myself get back to my strategy and authority will take me out of that confusion headspace, recognize that it's not mine, and then I can release it. And that's going to apply with pretty much all of these open centers. Making sense? Is this resonating? Is this like telling you everything you ever needed to know about yourself? Let's move on to the Anya Center. I love this center. This is such a cool one, whether it's open or defined. It's such a cool one. So this is an awareness center, and it's this cute little guy right here. An awareness center. This is the center for like logic and opinions, conceptualization, concepts, theories. This is our mental consciousness. We'll also have centers for our body consciousness and our spirit consciousness. This one is our mental consciousness, and it's a doozy, especially once you learn how to actually utilize yours. Look out, world. So this one is about half and half. So let me know in the comments who has the Anya open or defined. It's open for entree. Melissa's is open. Lynette's is defined. Cool, cool. I know my brother-in-law's is defined, right, Melissa? Larson, who are you? Okay, anyway, so open, Heather's is defined, cool. I love that we have a mix of this one, because this one is so, I mean, all of these obviously, but this one is so fun to kind of play back and forth on. One of my girls has this one defined, and I'm really kind of excited for her to get a little bit older so that I can play with that with her a little bit more. Sheena's is open, Laura's is defined, cool. Oh, I love this, I love this. So for those who have this defined, you are our like logic. You have a really consistent way of thinking. You have a really like solid grasp on information. you get information in and you hold on to it and you understand it. Like you have like we just learned about earlier, defined centers have a fixed way of processing that energy. So you have a really fixed way of processing concepts and theories and logic, and you have strong opinions probably, right? And your way of like approaching a problem as you're thinking through it, you have like this specific process, right? So cool. And again, we know that this is not the decision maker. So you use it to process all of this, and then you let it go through your strategy and your authority to make your decision. Melissa, I'm laughing over here. This is so Mike and so not me. It's so cool how much this makes sense. It does. It totally does. And I can totally see this too, just in the conversations I've had with Mike. Like, holy crap. Because my Anya is open, but like I could take in information from him and just like listen to him all day. He knows so much. He just knows it. He's got all of these all of these theories that he knows. Like he's got all of his own theories. I can't really form my own theories as well like that, but he's got his own theories about everything, right? And so many concepts that he just grasps. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm going to have to watch the replay too. Kids are on Zoom and it keeps kicking me out. Yeah, I would do that too, Alma. It's not worth it to keep getting kicked out. The replay will be great for you. Heather, so I wouldn't have said those out myself, except for maybe opinions. Yeah, you have strong opinions, Heather. You totally do. And that's a superpower. It is, because then those of us who have this open, and this, I also want to give this disclaimer with human design. None of these are hard and fast rules. Everyone is going to experience this their own way. So these are just like general approaches to it. Like these are just like the general outlines of these things. And it might look, sound, feel different to you. Okay, so just take these for what they are. So if the word concepts, theories, and conceptualization doesn't resonate with you, but something else along those lines does, run with that, okay? So for those of us who have it open, we're really good at seeing all aspects to a situation. We really can see all sides to an issue, to a circumstance. And we're really designed to process information in all the levels and different layers of understanding. So when someone with a defined Anya comes to us and tells us about all of these concepts and theories and their opinions, we're able to take those in and then explore all the different aspects of it. And then we amplify that back out into the world. And then that gives those with a defined Anya more to like consider and decide what is true for them. Do you see how we play off of each other with this? It's so cool. So that being said, because this is the center for like the logic, the information, the knowledge, right? If we are in our not self theme, we're going to keep telling ourselves, I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out. I need to understand this. I need to have this. I need to have a solid grasp on this thing. I used to say that all the time. I was totally living most of my life in my not self theme with this. Raise your hand if any of you have felt this way. I always felt like, well, I can't take action on this thing until I figure this out. We're not designed to figure it out, especially those of us with an open Anya, because we don't have a fixed way of processing these things. It's very fluid and very dynamic. So we're not meant to have a solid grasp on it. We're meant to continue to move through the information. So let me know if that is making sense to you. I just think the Anya Center is so cool. Okay, yes, me. Yes, Sheena. I feel like Sheena, you and I have had that conversation a lot. Like, I'm just trying to figure this thing out. So let that be a really key indicator for all of us, especially those with an open one. If you hear yourself saying, well, I'm trying to figure this out, stop for a second and recognize where you're at. Are you trying to figure it out with your mind, or are you letting it come into your body? Okay. The throat center right here. Oh, come on, mouse. I don't know why my mouse keeps going weird. There we go. Can you see my mouse even when it's not doing that cute little blue thing? Because if so, then I won't worry about it all the time. Yeah, seriously. Let me know if you can see my mouse without the blue thing from Canva. This is the manifestation center. There's only one manifestation center, and it is the throat. this center is all about obviously communication and manifestation, right? It's the manifestation center. So that makes sense, right? And this is also, because it's the center for manifestation, it's also all about metamorphosis, transformation as you explore and interact and experiment with how you move through the world. All right, Martha, I'm assuming the thumbs up means you can still see my mouse. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. I won't worry about the blue thing. So raise your hand in the comments if, well, let me know if you have the throat center open or defined. Most people have this one defined. 72% of the population has this one defined. Defined, defined. Kylie says open. Defined, defined, defined. Cool. I love it. And this one, they're all so good. I'm just always going to say that. So for those who have it defined, you are designed to speak. And especially, but my husband's is open. Oh, that's perfect, Lynette. Oh my gosh, that's so perfect. So I'm not really going to get into channels at all while we're here, but I will say that when your throat is defined, you are designed to speak especially according to whatever other center it is connected to. So like if you have a whole channel here that is colored in, that means they're connected. So whatever it is connected to, that is especially what you're here to speak on. Okay. And we can get deeper into that if you were to get a reading from me, and I can explain more on that. But just that, now you can kind of keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So use your voice. Use your voice it always comes back to this, according to your strategy and your authority. You always come back to that, okay? Using your strategy and your authority. So once you have something to respond to that is correct for you, my generators, then you are here to speak on that. If you are a projector and you have it defined, wait for that invitation and then speak, you get it. Use your strategy and authority and then use your voice. Mine has 2 colored on each side of the throat. Are they connected by channels that are colored in, Heather? And then also something that's really powerful is using your defined throat to invite others to speak. So when someone else has theirs open, they almost need to be invited to speak. Yes, the top channel line's going down to the next triangle. Cool. So when we get to those centers, Heather, you will know that those are the things that you are designed to speak on. So keep that in mind as we go through this. So, yep, you're here to speak. And as you speak, you manifest. Speaking is manifesting for you. Well, for any of us, when we speak, we are manifesting because we're interacting with the world. I am interacting with you right now. I am manifesting this training right now, right? I am manifesting this information right now. Mine is connected to my spleen and solar plexus. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so keep that in mind, Andrea, as we go to those channels. Then those will be the things that you're here to speak on. And obviously we can speak on any of the things, but those are just going to have more power. So for those who have this one open, okay, just making sure I'm not missing my Facebook people. Okay, so for those who have it open, you might feel pressure to speak uncontrollably, like you might just kind of blurt things out of place a little bit. So that can be kind of a challenge. And yet you have approximately a crap ton of wisdom in your voice, more so than those of us who have ours defined, okay? So again, coming back to your strategy and your authority, when the timing is right for you to speak, you're gonna have so much more wisdom to share because you take in all of this information, you take in communication, you take in metamorphosis, and you, like, from limitless sources, right? And you get to sample it and taste it and feel it and learn from it. And then you put it back out into the world according to your strategy and your authority. And it is big. It's really, really big. Oh man, I just remembered I was going to share, because there are places where you can find out like famous people who have this center open and defined and all of that. And I forgot to do that, but it totally makes sense. It's so interesting. That is exactly my husband. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, yes, exactly. Oh, it like gives you chills, right? When you hear someone like that speak. So good. Oh, this is interesting. My Anya is connected to my throat center. Ooh, Laura, that's cool. That's such a cool thing. Oh, that's so juicy. There's so much goodness there. Oh, I love it. Okay, so if you're living out of alignment with this, if you're, not quite healthy in this center, especially if it's open, you might feel like you're trying to attract attention. You're talking to get people to notice you. And again, this can be true for whether it's open or defined. My son is open and that is him. Just have to channel it according to his strategy and authority. Yes, exactly. And that's why I love that we're all here learning about this now, because then we can help our kids understand this about themselves and help them understand that they're not meant to live like everyone else, and just try to teach them. Like, I'm learning this at 30 years old. I wish I had learned this when I was 5. So our kids can kind of learn this stuff now and learn how to use their superpowers from such a young age, which is so cool. I love that. So if you find yourself speaking to try to get attention, if you're speaking and it doesn't feel right, ask yourself, am I speaking according to my strategy and my authority, or am I speaking to get attention? Then that's going to be your key to come back to your strategy and authority, to come back to your design and realign yourself, okay? All righty. The G center, that cute little diamond right there. So this is the identity center. There's only one identity center, right? And this one is so cute. Oh, my computer's gonna die. This one is all about love and identity and yourself and the direction you're going in. And let me know, do you have your G center open or defined? This one's pretty close to half and half. Open, defined, defined, open. Cool, cool, cool. Defined. Sweet. And Facebook is lagging, but that's okay. Defined. So we've got about 57% of the population that has it defined. And if you have this defined, you're here to give love. All my other centers under the throat are open. That totally makes sense, Laura. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So you're here to either be an example of like unconditional self-love, or you're here to share love to other people. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. I spelled this wrong. I swear I know how to spell, you guys. Defined G center, awesome. So you defines, we are here to give love. We just exude that love, right? We give love it. And whatever that looks like for you, the love languages or whatever it means for you to give love, you're here to give that love. And you also have a really like solid sense in who you are when you're living in alignment, right? When you're living in alignment, you just know, you just kind of know who you are, right? You know who you are, you know where you're going. You might not know how you're going to get there, but you know where you're going. You know what you want, right? You know kind of the direction you're moving in. You just know. Am I right? And if that's not true for you right now, you have access to that. Because I've worked with some clients who have this defined who don't feel that way. And then we discovered that it's because of conditioning that they've gone through, right? Which just means that as you go through the deconditioning process, all of that is absolutely available to you. Once you have access to that, you have it. You generate it. Oh, and it's so good. It's so, so good. So for those who have this one open, you are here to have a really fluid sense of self. Your sense of your identity is meant to be really dynamic and explorative and curious. And you sort of, because it's open, right? Whenever it's open, you take in from external sources. So you might sort of sample identities, try on some different identities based on who you're with or what movie you're watching, or, if you're people watching, you might kind of take on someone's persona a little bit. Just let me know if this sounds correct for you. And as you do that, you're sort of sampling it all, right? You're sampling all these different energies and seeing what it's like for you and how much of it is you want to, how much of it is going to continue to be true for you, and it's going to change. You're never going to be one person, right? Your sense of self is never going to be a fixed thing like it is for those of us who do have it defined. Like, I know solidly who I am. I am Megan, and I'm always going to be Megan. And when you have it open, so Kylie, like, you are Kylie, but Kylie might look different day to day. Kylie might sound different day to day, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You might wear one style of clothes one day and a totally another different style the next day. That's perfect. You're not schizophrenic, I promise. OMG, if you look at my IG and scroll through the years, I had a million looks and styles. Yes, that's exactly it. And it's so fun because then you get to kind of showcase to us, you mirror to us kind of what we're doing as well, which is really telling for those of us who have it defined. It's really interesting for us to be around those of you who have it open because you sort of mirror to us what we are. And it's so interesting. It's a really interesting experience. And then also with how you experience love. So this is where I've heard some people say, and I've been meaning to ask those of you who do have this open, because I've heard people say that they take the five love languages quiz, but it changes like every time. You know, like, well, I don't really like the 5 love languages because mine's always changing. Those are probably the people who have an open G center, because the way that you experience love is also fluid and dynamic. You know, one day experiencing love for you might look like, oh, my husband took out the garbage. Oh, I just feel so much love for him doing that. And the next day that doesn't really make that much, it's not that big of an impact for you, but then he leaves you a cute little note and that just lights you up, you know? So it's just going to be different, and that's perfectly okay. I would really encourage, if you have a significant other, let them know this, you know, just let them know, like, I love you unconditionally. I do love you. The way that I experience love is just always going to be changing. So just get kind of like, you know, let it be a playful, curious kind of thing in your relationships, whether it's a romantic love or a platonic kind of love, you know, it can always look different. Yeah, it varies for me. Yes, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's fun, it's sampling, it's reflective. And then the not self theme to pay attention to here is if you find yourself asking yourself, who am I and what am I going to do with my life? If you have this open center, you don't need to know exactly who you are. You don't need to know exactly what you're going to do with your life because it is so fluid and dynamic. Does that make sense? So if you find yourself asking yourself questions like this, then you know, I don't need to know that. That's not necessary. And you get to pull back in to who you are and let yourself be the fluid being that you are. LOL, it's annoying though. Well, see, but now that you know about it, you can just let it be fun. Let it be fun. Let all of this just be fun and curious and playful, because it gets to be fun. It just does. All righty. Okay, the heart center or the will center. Same thing, heart and the will. So this cute little guy, this is the heart center. Isn't it cute? It's just so cute and little. I love it. This is also a motor center. We've got 4 motor centers, right? The motor centers are the ones kind of for the doing, okay? So let me know if this one is open or defined. This is the center. Most people are going to have this one open. Let's see. Okay. Defined. Wow. I know my sister's is defined. Where did the rest of you go? Mine is open. I'm trying to think of my husband's. Sheena, my heart is open. Gonna watch the rest on replay. Taking the kids to Barnes and Nobles. Fun. Have so much fun, Sheena. Defined. Wow, lots of defined heart centers here. That's crazy to me. Only 37% of the population has it defined. So we got lots here. This is cool. This is really cool. So this is the center all about willpower, the material world, ego. And again, ego in the human design world, not ego just in the general sense of the world. Maybe it's our defined heart that made us all want to be here today. Maybe that's what it was. You guys were all just drawn to, my openness was pulling you to me because I needed your definedness today. Alma's is defined. Holy moly, so many defined hearts. This is wild. And it's so cool. So, oh my gosh, I'm excited to talk to you guys about that because you have a defined heart. And I know that there are still some of us who have it open, but those of you who have it defined, you have consistent access to willpower. Most of the world does not have that. I do not have consistent access to willpower. Like, how cool is that? So like, if you want to start a new habit that you like, that's correct for you. Heather, what is that for? That has not been my experience. Well, okay, then that means that you might not be operating from alignment, correct? LOL, I must have missed the memo. Okay, so now you know that as you go through the deconditioning process and you realign yourself, you have that. You are the one that generates this. As well, so tell me this too, like, have you ever decided that you want to declutter your house maybe, or work on a project and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm just gonna, like, okay, yeah, cool. You don't need someone to constantly be reminding you or have reminders set or have motivational posters all over the house. Has there ever been an instance in your life, those of you who have it defined, is that willpower? Yes, Heather. I used to randomly rearrange rooms. Yeah. And then also with like habits, like has there ever been like just a random little habit that you decided to do? And again, it has to be something that is correct for your strategy and authority, right? So maybe in the past you've been trying to start habits that weren't correct for you, and that's why you didn't have the willpower, right? Do you see how it's all connected? So once something goes through your strategy and your authority, I quit smoking 4 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. That's amazing. So now you know you get to just continue to rely on this willpower because you are generating it. You generate the crap out of it. And again, as you're living aligned, you'll continue to have it as long as it's correct for your strategy and your authority. You're going to have all the willpower you need to start a new habit, to tackle something new, you know. Pretty cool. And that's why those of us with an open center like to be around people who have this defined, because even just being in your energy, like I have heard, you know, I've got someone who she knows hers is open and she has a friend who has it defined. And when she's trying to get a lot of work done, she'll just go over to her friend's house. Her friend will just be cleaning her house or whatever. And she'll just sit there because she's in her energy. She could just work all day. That kind of makes sense because it's nearly impossible to make me do something that I don't want to do. Yep. Because if something's not correct for you, you're not going to do it because it's not correct for you. Right? So for those of us who have this open, we reverse willpower. Yes, exactly. So those of us who have this open, we don't have access to our own willpower. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. Like I have always said, our chart is only filled with strengths. So those of us who have this open, we just know that we don't need to rely on willpower to do things. I mean, because I have actually started new habits and followed through on them several times. There's lots of things. I became a morning person, technically. I still like sleeping in, but I taught myself to become a morning person. I work out 6 days a week. Like I do these things that I never used to do, but not because I was relying on this, because it was correct for my strategy and my authority. And I had that sacral energy to sustain me. Like there's so many moving pieces here. Are you seeing this? And now those of us who have this open, we know that we don't need to worry about having that willpower. When we get it, it's big and we can do big things with it. And when we don't have it, we don't need to stress about it. Isn't that such a great permission slip? So rely on the strategy, 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 authority, authority, authority. Also, did you know it's hard to say strategy 3 times in a row? Try it right now. I dare you. And yeah, and because this is about the material world, like the material world and ego, and it's open. So the open centers are also centers for wisdom. That's something you'll hear a lot. We're here to become really wise about what is valuable because we're sampling in, we're taking in other people's energy, other objects' energy, and deciding what is actually valuable for us. And we can reflect that out and help others see what is valuable for them. Pretty cool, right? And then you're not self-themed. This was another big one for me personally. So I would love to hear if this is true for any of you. If you feel like you need to prove yourself to anyone, whether usually it's going to be trying to prove yourself to someone else. If you feel like you need to prove yourself in any aspect of your life so that they can see your value, you're living out of alignment. That's your cue, okay? All right, we're moving along. The sacral center. So the only people who will have this one defined are my generator types. So my generators and my mani-gens. Raise your hands And then also let me know, those of you who are not, who have it open, let me know if yours is open. I won't take too much time on this just because we've already talked about it quite a bit. Defined. I'm trying to open. I'm trying to like remember what everyone's types are. And so far I think I've got them. Undefined. Yeah. So this is another one of the motor centers. We know this is the center all about life force energy. This is also the center about like fertility and sexuality and responsibility. So those of us who have this one open, Alma's is open. Yep. Alma, I don't know if you told me how different your chart was. Did you get it pulled up and let me know how different it was? Is your type and everything still the same? I would guess your type is still the same. So let me know, Alma. So 66% of the world has this one defined. That's how many generator types there are. I told you there's a lot of us. You are here to do what lights you up, right? You're here to respond to the world as it comes to you and then do the things that are correct for you. That not self theme feels like a personal attack. Take it for what it's worth. I think we're all taking some humble pie today. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And the other thing that I actually wanted to share that I haven't really talked about yet with the sacral center, when you have this defined, it is designed to be totally and completely used up every day. It is designed to be totally discharged, use up all of that energy, and then go to bed exhausted. And then it will recharge fully through the night, and you'll be ready to go the next day. So knowing that it's defined, you know that you have consistent, regular access to it because you are generating it. So you can rely on that, right? And those of you who have it open, the 34%, I haven't checked. Oh, okay, totally fine. The 34% of you who have this open, you are here to become wise about all of these things, right? So you're here to sample in the energy of those of us who have this defined. So you're here to sample and experience in your body when you have that energy, when you have that sexuality response, when you have that, responsibility, when you have that life force energy running through you, you experience it from other sources and you learn from it, and then you put it back out to us so that we can see what that means for us. So cool, right? And because you amplify it, we've talked about this, when you take it in, you can do even more. You can do more as long as it is correct for you. You can do really, really big things with this energy. But it's not sustainable. So don't worry about it if you don't have it, because you don't need to have it, right? You've got other areas of your chart that are there for you to utilize. And then when you do have it, use it, learn from it, experience it, play with it, get curious with it. And then when it's gone, rest. Take all the naps, sleep in, do whatever you need to do, rest, let it recharge. I get that about needing to use all of my energy. When I go to bed before my energy is gone, I have a restless night and feel funky the next day. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. While those who have this open generally need time to unwind and slowly kind of wind down for the night. Have time to kind of relax before you go to sleep. Man, my husband is like the ultimate example of this. He's a manifesting generator. He has this defined. He goes, and then hits his pillow and he's asleep in like 5 seconds. It's wild to me. All right, and then, yep, for the not self theme, again, this will mostly apply to those who have this open, but can still apply to all. If you're feeling like there's just so much that needs to be done and someone needs to do it, so I need to do it. I just need to go do all the things. Let yourself have a break. Buy yourself a Kit Kat. Give yourself a break. All right, next. I'm sorry, you guys, we're going a little bit long today. I should have given that precursor because there's a lot. There are 9 centers, but we're getting there. Okay. The solar plexus. I love this one. Please keep telling me to go buy a Kit Kat. I should be sponsored by Kit Kat. The Easter Bunny brought us some Kit Kats, so that's probably why it's on my mind. So this is both a motor and an awareness center. And again, you don't need to remember those things. If that's too much information, like if there's a lot that's coming to you that you're not grasping, don't worry about that part. But for those who do, this is both a motor and an awareness center. And let's see, where did I go? Okay. This is the spirit consciousness. So you know how I talked about there's the mental consciousness center, which was the, oh man, now I'm testing myself, the Anya, right? It's one of those two. Yes, I was right. Okay, the Anya. Anya is the mental center. This one is spirit consciousness. And this is where like all the emotions live, right? This is where all the feelings, the passions, desire, mood, sensitivity, this is where there's an abundance of spirit, okay? Raise your hands, let me know, open or defined. I'm gonna take a quick drink because I'm talking a lot. Defined, open. This is another, such a juicy, juicy one. I love this center. Defined. Cool. This one's split about half and half as well. So for those who have this defined, I'm pretty sure that if you have this one defined, it will be your authority. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty hard and fast rule there. I thought my daughter was awake. We're good. Kylie's is open. Cool. So for those who have it defined, that means you have regular and consistent access to emotional energy. You have a fixed way of processing it, hence the waves that we've talked about, right, with the authority. So it's regular, it's consistent. You kind of know what to expect for the most part, you know. Almost as defined, awesome. And when you have this defined, you're here to be really like deliberate, because again, you have a really consistent way of experiencing emotions and your mood swings and all of that, right? And I already pulled my new chart. It's about the same. Perfect. Yeah. See, having that 3-hour difference, for the most part, not much is going to change on your chart. So that's really good to know that that website. So those who didn't know their birth time and were wondering about that website that I shared, it's pretty close, pretty darn close. I'm impressed. Yeah, so I won't get too much more into this, because if you have this defined, then it's your authority. We've already kind of covered that the other day. If you have any questions, definitely let me know, but I think that should be pretty clear, right? If you have this open, you're here to become really wise about all the feelings. If you have this open, you are a true empath. I know that makes sense for you, right? And I will say you can still be considered an empath if you don't have this. Like I have this defined, and I still consider myself an empath because of other areas of my chart and just how I function, right? But this is where true empaths lie, is having that open. And the thing is with this is it's really easy to take on other people's emotions and think that they're yours. So your superpower here is to sample other people's feelings and emotions and moods and all of that, explore it, experience it, see what it's like, and then put it back out into the world. When you're experiencing something, especially if it's a lower vibrational feeling like frustration or anger or sadness or depression, anything like that, ask yourself, is this mine, or can I send this back out into the universe? Is this mine, or is it someone else's? And a really, really good mantra for you is to, oh, she is awake, to be a mirror, not a sponge. Because all of these open centers, they're reflective. So as long as you can remember that you do not need to take on and hold on to someone else's emotions, you're here to just sample it and then send it back out, right? If you can know that, then you can still stay strong in who you are, rather than being weighted down by the worries of the world. So let me know if that helps. Catherine, we'll watch on replay. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, that's the main thing that I just wanted to talk about, is making sure that you are not taking on things that are not yours. Sample them, experience them, learn from them, and then allow yourself to release them. And you're not self-theme, avoiding conflict for fear of causing unwanted feelings. Remember, you cannot make anyone else feel any certain way. Everyone is in charge of their own emotions, and especially now that you know that if they're not yours, you can send them away. No one can make you feel any certain way. So if you need to have a confrontation with someone, we can still be kind, we can still be loving. If you find yourself trying to avoid that kind of conflict, recognize that you're out of alignment. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have your firm stance on whatever it is that you're having a stance on, right? You're allowed that. Let all the other aspects of your chart come into play and give you the strength that you need to face whatever it is that you need to face. Let me know if this is making sense, if this is helpful, if this is resonating with you. Give yourself a break with your emotions. My defined people, let yourself go through your wave. My open centers, remember what is yours and what is not yours. Okay. I think we've just got 2 left. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, root center. Is yours open or defined? Let me know. Ah. Martha says yes. Okay, good, good, good. Yay. Defined, defined, defined. Most people will have this one defined. 60% of you, well, of people have this defined. This is another motor center and another pressure center. And this one is all about physical adrenalized pressure. This is what sustains momentum for living. And it's also the center where a lot of stress can live. And stress is not always a bad thing, just throwing that out there. It's the way that we perceive stress that can make it a bad thing. That can make it detrimental for our health. Okay. So for those who have this one defined, you have a really consistent and a cyclical way of processing adrenaline. It's really cyclical. So it's like a pulse, sort of. So you might notice Alma's is open, Itzel's is defined. Oh, hi, Itzel. I didn't even know you were on here. You might hear my 2-year-old talking to herself in the distance. She's okay, I promise. So this root center, it operates in pulses when it's defined. So it's like when it's pulsing on, that's when you do the things. So once you've gone through your strategy and your authority and it's correct for you, do the work when this pulse is on. And then when it's off, you take a break. You buy yourself that dang Kit Kat. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. Okay, this is a big center for burnout. In fact, we're going to be talking about this a lot in my membership program this month. What do you mean by physical adrenal pressure? I was a skydive instructor and had to retire last year. And I said that I think the lack of adrenaline from quitting has heavily affected me. I'm trying to see yours. So yours is defined. Okay. Well, have you found any other sources of using that adrenaline? Because you have access to your own adrenaline. Your adrenaline is regular and cyclical for you. So the question is, are you using it? That's what you would need to ask yourself. Like, are you using it when that pulse is on? And are you giving yourself a break when that pulse is off? Oh, well, I hopped on my cow's back to get her brush recently. Hopping on your cow's back. Yeah, that could give you a little adrenaline junkie moment. That's amazing. Just got here, Emily, but I'll catch the beginning later. Okay, sounds good. That's perfect. So yeah, that's the most important thing to remember if your root is defined. Working according to your strategy and authority, working when it's on, giving yourself a break when it's off. She's yelling at her stuffed animal right now. Okay, we're good. Okay, so for those who have it open, I'm trying to see. Okay, so we got one open over there. Was there anyone here that has it open? Doesn't look like it. That's okay. So for those who have it open, it's interesting because most of the time it's people who have it open that are going to be more on the side of adrenaline junkie because they don't create their own. And again, like I said, none of these are hard and fast rules because there's different parts of your chart that are at play, right? So if you have this open or undefined, when you do get that burst of adrenaline, when you're in the energy of someone or something that has this pulse on, you take that adrenaline and it's bigger. Like you get even more of a rush from it, which is why they can be adrenaline junkies, because they keep looking for that. Lately, I always feel like I don't have it on. I'm always super exhausted. Yeah, so we've kind of talked about that a little bit with you, right? Is we're trying to get you back into your design. So, and you might very well be in very much burnout mode. You guys, Itzel, she is a rock star. So Itzel, if you're, Heather, did you move from Zoom over to Facebook? I'm so confused. But Itzel, if you're in burnout mode, then you need to be really into healing mode so that you can heal and then it will function more properly. Oh, good, my husband's home. He can take care of the screaming child. So the key, especially if it's open, yeah, getting back into alignment. Exactly. So just know that because you have this open or this defined root, that once you're in a really healthy aligned place, you will have that cyclical on off mode of that root center. Well, that does make sense. Yep, had some kid issues. Okay, that's fine, Heather. I was just confused. That's funny. Alma, I'm trying to, let's see. Alma's was open. Alma, are you an adrenaline junkie? That's what I need to know now. And then also if you have an open root center, it can make it a little bit harder for you to relax because this is your not self theme. It's a pressure center. And because you're taking in essentially limitless energy here when you do have it, you might feel a lot of pressure to do all the things because you want to get out of that pressure. You might feel pressure. You just want to get away from it all. You want to get away from that pressure. So you just think, okay, I just need to do this and I need to do this. I need to get all of these things done so that then I can relax. But the thing is, there's always going to be more that needs to be done. There will always be something else on the to-do list. There will always be another item to do, another task to accomplish. So all you have to do, if you've got that open center, just choose to relax anyway. Just choose to be free anyway. Let that to-do list wait. It will be there patiently waiting for you whenever it is correct for you according to your strategy and authority. Remember when I told you I never slept during the day? Well, I've been sleeping all day for the past 2 days. It just feels like it's part of my healing process and I'm giving myself what my body is asking for right now. I am so glad that you're doing that. That is so perfect because you have a lot of healing to do. You totally do. You've been through some stuff. And that's perfect. Alma, yes, you are an adrenaline junkie. Oh man. Let's go on some bungee jumping. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is totally off topic, but I saw this thing on TikTok the other day where there's this place in Washington where you can go for like an all-day thing and they train you how to do this in one day. And you go up in a plane and then you climb out and you stand on top of the plane and just like fly. And I really like that's on my bucket list now. I have a defined root center, but I still want to. Yes, skywalking. Do you live in Washington? Have you done it? Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. Can you guys hear my daughter? She's legit screaming. Okay, she's still fine. No, I live in California and have friends that do it, and I want to do it eventually. Let's go. I will totally go with you. Okay, so that's the root center. Just pay attention to the pressure and really, really, really rely on your strategy and authority before you do something about that pressure, okay? Okay, last one, you guys, we are doing it. The splenic center, the spleen, right there. This is like the OG. This is the original center, basically. So this is another awareness center, and this is the body consciousness center. Oh, I saw that. So fun. Seriously, it looks so fun. My husband has no desire to do any of that stuff with me, so I need buddies to do crazy stuff with. So he told me that he would support me in doing it, and he does not want to do it with me, and that's fine. So let me know if your spleen is open or defined. I'm pretty sure Kylie's is defined because that is your authority, right? Defined, defined. This one's split about half and half as far as the population goes. So we had our mental consciousness, spiritual consciousness over here, and now we've got the body consciousness, right? This is the center. This is like the primal center. This is the center for intuition and survival instincts, like basic survival, and it's very time-based and very designed to be just really in the moment, in the now. And so if you have this defined, you're going to have, you're very much designed to be in the moment. So you can be spontaneous. You can just be now and according to your strategy and your authority, do things now, right? You don't, yeah, anyways. And you have consistent, reliable access to intuitive insights in the moment. Like I said, it's very, very now. And you can know that you can rely on having access to those intuitive hits regularly, consistently in the now, right? Also, because we're not going to get too much into this, but because this is a very body-based, physicality-based center, generally speaking, again, this depends on the health of the center and the health of your alignment. If you have this defined, you generally speaking have a really strong immune system. Now, that said, I have worked with clients who have this defined, who have like autoimmune diseases and stuff like that. And there's a whole lot that can be tied up into that. But generally speaking, at your fullest potential, in the highest expression of it, you've got a really strong immune system. That said, it also means that you could potentially miss signs of being ill because like you're just used to your body just goes, it's strong, it does really good things. So you might not notice like if you're starting to get the beginnings of a cold or something like that because You're just functioning. You're healthy. You're doing good. So you might not notice it until bam, you're down for the count. So it's really important to just listen. Like if someone else is asking you if you're feeling okay, you know, to be like, oh, am I okay? I should check in with my body and make sure I'm doing good. And then for those who have it open, you are probably going to be really sensitive to different physical aspects of life. So like really sensitive to medications or alcohol or different foods. You might get sick much easier, but you're also going to notice quicker if you are starting to get sick. So, you know, you can see how that works in your favor in both aspects, right? And you may have inconsistent access to those kinds of intuitive hits, but when you get them, they're big, right? They're basically unlimited. You're starting to see this pattern between defined and open centers, right? And how both of them, whether it's open or defined, it's always a strength. And if you have that open, you're here to become really wise, right? You're going to sample all of the influences and you're here to become wise about healing and intuition and time, right? Let's see, define, I didn't even see this over here. Define, define, define. We got lots of defined. So spleen centers over here. It's a, oh, I'm very spontaneous. Yes, totally. I love it. So those are the 9 centers. How are we feeling about this? I know that can be kind of a lot. And just this reminder again, your chart is only filled with strengths. And if you just need time to kind of process all of this information and come back to me in a day or two to ask me your questions, or even in a week, I'm always here. I am always here. Okay. Oh, I put questions. I forgot that I put that slide in there. So, what are you going to do with this now? Now that you have all of this information, what's next for you, right? There's lots of different directions you could take this. Oh, Andrea, let's see. How does having a defined spleen center when you're a sacral authority, like instant hit versus having to wait and process emotions? So you always let things go through your, so you're a sacral authority. Okay, I see. So luckily for you, that means you just have that one factor authentication essentially, right? So someone like me, I've got the sacral, my strategy is to respond, and then I've got an emotional authority, which is like a 2-factor authentication for making my decisions. For you, it's that one thing right there. So for you, once you have waited to respond, so you still wait to respond. You still wait to respond. Once you get that green light from your sacral, you don't have to wait anymore. You've got that defined spleen and you get that intuitive hit and you've already gotten the green light from your sacral. Do it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's so cool how they're all tied together, right? And everything always filters through your strategy and your authority first. Always, always. OMG, I've always been super spontaneous. Being like that made me happy. The past few years, because of family advice, I've been overthinking everything and thinking before I act. And now I've been feeling super depressed and unhappy. I feel like this could be that key that pulls it all in together. Yes, it's all. Yes, 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 yes. I could totally see that. I could totally see that for you. It's all. I'm going to watch all the replays again now that I have the right chart. Perfect, Alma. Perfect. As you do that, just let me know what questions come up for you. And Alma, you're in my membership as well. So we'll be, you know, we've got lots of stuff that we'll be discussing in there as well. So good. Oh, I love these questions. I love all of these insights and thoughts. I mean, anyone else who wants to share insights that gives you about your life and things that make sense now, I love hearing it. So yeah, sounds like this training was super helpful, right? I love this. Oh, that's so cool. What has this done for you? What has this information done for you in just these 3 short days? I mean, I really tried to jam pack as much into this as I could, which I know can be kind of a lot, but I also think I'm a pretty good teacher. So hopefully it didn't feel too overwhelming. I'm feeling happy and excited. Yay, it's all. That makes me all warm inside for you. Just love you. So you can see now how your life is already improving and you're just kind of starting to apply this information, right? Sorry, I'm just keeping my eye on the Facebook group because I don't want to forget about you guys. You guys are very important to me. This, I know you can see, this is literally just the very, very tip of the iceberg. Like it's I would have loved to be able to go more and more and more in depth with you this week. There's just not enough time to do a free training in 3 days to go through all the stuff, right? So when you look at your chart, you can see that there's still like a crap ton of stuff that can be explored and experimented with and aligned with, right? You can see that there's so much. So from here, there's lots of different options you have. You can certainly go off and search, go on Google, buy the books, do all of that stuff, which is perfect. That's a great option for sure. Just know that if that's the route that you choose, it's not going to provide you with seeing the full connection that's inside of your chart. It's going to give you the pieces, and then it's going to take longer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just all based on what makes sense for you, right? What is correct for you. If you're okay with it taking longer, then that's a fine route. Oh my gosh, does anyone have any questions about it? I think I answered them all over on Facebook. Does anyone have any other questions for me about this? And I will also say, I'm the kind of person, and especially, if you have an open head center, this is me. I'm always like, I don't know, I don't think I have any questions, but then someone else asks, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to know the answer to that too. So if that's you, I totally get that. I do have some FAQs that are on the sales page as well. And then if you decide that you have a question later on, feel free to post it in the group in case there's other people like me who have an open head center that would benefit from seeing your question. Cool. Okay. I love you all so much. This has been probably my favorite offer, my favorite course thing that I have ever done. This has been so fun. All of your energy has just been so magnetic to me. It's so LOL, that's me. Yep. Every time someone yeah, whenever anyone ever asks me, whether it's in a class or anywhere, it's like, hey, do you have any questions? I'm like, I feel like I should, but I don't know. I don't even know what questions I would have. So, or if you want to be anonymous with your questions, you can email me, you can message me, and then I can just go answer in the group as well for anyone that might have that as well. So, okay, well, I will get this recording uploaded ASAP, and you can continue to watch this replay until I take it down next week, or if you join the mastermind, you'll get it forever. Oh, let's see if I can end this without being too terribly awkward today.